I arrived early at the place where he had planned to propose to me, only to see him on one knee proposing to someone else. Elara Dawn, will you marry me? As soon as you say yes, I'll switch brides immediately. His gaze was filled with anticipation and couldn't take another step forward. Since I was not the one he wants to spend his life with, Elle might as well let them have this wedding. But after Elle ran away, he crossed oceans and continents, searching the world for me. Chapter 1. After studying abroad for 2 years, I cut my time short, eagerly looking forward to returning to Solaria, ready to marry. As I was decorating our future home, I discovered thousands of plane tickets carefully preserved by my boyfriend of 10 years, Ansel Stormvale. Every month, he had been traveling to Lunaria at least once, and it wasn't to see me, even though I was only 100 kilometers away from his destination in Lunaria. I arrived early at the place where he had planned to propose to me, only to see him on one knee, proposing to someone else. Elara Dawn, will you marry me? As soon as you say yes, I'll switch brides immediately. His gaze was filled with anticipation, and I couldn't take another step forward. Since I was not the one he wants to spend his life with, I might as well let them have this wedding. But after I ran away, he crossed oceans and continents, searching the world for me. The proposal site was decorated with roses, bathed in the warm glow of soft yellow lights, romantic and intimate. Ansel, kneeling on one knee, was the exact image of the proposal I had dreamed of countless times. But the person standing in front of him wasn't me. Elara, will you marry me? Elara covered her mouth with one hand, trembling as she took the roses with the other. A dazzling diamond ring was slipped onto her finger. The two embraced tightly, kissing passionately, their intimate whispers carried to my ears by the wind. I found myself unconsciously rubbing the matching ring Ansel had sent me from across the sea. I never told him the ring was too big. To keep it from slipping off, I had wrapped half a loop of red thread around it to make it fit. Perhaps after all this time, when I tugged at the thread, it came undone. The ring, freed from the thread that once held it in place, slipped off my finger in an instant and rolled into a distant drain. Just like Ansel, who, after 2 years abroad, was no longer tied down by me. An ill-fitting ring doesn't need to be retrieved, just as a man who didn't love me didn't need to be held onto. Ansel, I hope your wedding goes as planned. Why? The only one I want to marry is you. Because I plan to crash your wedding. That way, it will prove you're truly in love with me. My steps faltered, because I was curious just how far Ansel would go to hurt me for Elara's sake. You little rascal, only you could come up with such a crazy idea. Then I better prepare an extra pair of running shoes, so I can run faster when we elope. Are you really willing to do this to Stella? Marrying her to keep my promise is already the most I can do. If she can't keep her husband from being whisked away at the altar, she can't blame me, can she? Their joyful laughter pierced my heart like a dagger. I turned around, leaning against a tree, my legs so weak I couldn't move an inch. Fearing that my sobs might alert them, I covered my mouth tightly and walked away. But halfway home, my legs gave out and I fell hard onto the ground. I returned home, battered and broken, and dialed my advisor's number. Professor, I've decided to join that research project you mentioned. My academic advisor was thrilled, but also puzzled. Didn't you say you were planning to settle down in Solaria after your marriage? Did your husband agree to a long-distance arrangement? Being apart after marriage can be really challenging. Are you sure you don't want to rethink this decision? I was wiping the scrapes on my bruised knees, each touch sending a sharp pang through me. The wedding is off. From now on, I'll be your right hand, fully devoted to research. My advisor, who treats me like his own daughter, immediately sensed something was wrong. Today's the deadline. I'll put your name on the list. Come back soon so we can dive into the work. Keeping busy will help take your mind off things. Don't think I'm meddling, but over the past 2 years, it's always been you looking after Solaria, while he's never bothered to come to Lunaria. That's a clear sign he doesn't love you as much as you believed. Once you've made up your mind to move on, don't linger in the past. If it weren't for that thick stack of flight tickets, I could have confidently dismissed my advisor's comment that he doesn't love you as much. No wonder he was always out of touch at the end of each month. Turns out, he was busy traveling thousands of miles to be with Elara. For 2 whole years, I felt like a fool, desperately racing to finish coursework and publish papers, just to carve out time to fly domestically to see him. Those brief meetings after long flights were once the happiest moments of my life. Yet, my cross-ocean love, in the face of that stack of tickets Ansel cherished, had become a joke. As I made my way to the proposal site, I tried to convince myself that maybe he had traveled to Lunaria for work. When I saw him proposing to Elara, the very woman who had once tormented me, it became clear why he hadn't visited me despite the mere 100 kilometers between us. Elara had barred him from seeing me, leaving him to weave stories of longing and sorrow to explain his absence. He knew exactly how much Elara and I were sworn enemies. After my father remarried, Elara and her daughter became the most persistent shadows of my childhood. I had imagined countless scenarios over the past 2 years of our long-distance relationship. Ansel might fall for someone else, I thought, but I never expected him to fall for Elara. I never anticipated that he would go so far as to agree to let me be humiliated at the wedding just to please her. I submerged myself in a warm bath, the heat gradually stopping my trembling. Then, Ansel's call came in. "Stella, where are you?" "I'm already at the seaside park." Chapter 2. I stayed silent. Ansel grew anxious. "Stella, what's wrong? Are you upset? Where are you?" "I'll come pick you up right now." He remained as attentive and caring as ever, able to pick up on my emotions and offer comfort. "I'm at home. I don't want to go to the park today." There was a brief pause before Ansel spoke again, still trying to reassure me. "All right, I'll come home right away to be with you." He didn't question why I had canceled. It wasn't that his love for me was so profound that he could overlook my whims. It was simply that he had successfully proposed to Elara in the carefully orchestrated setting. I was merely his backup plan for when the proposal didn't go as expected. As Ansel walked in, I was just coming out of the bathroom. Seeing Elara behind him, I couldn't help but frown. "Why did you bring her here?" I asked warningly. Was he really so eager to rub my face in it? Ansel, looking a bit guilty, rubbed his nose. "Stella, I ran into Elara downstairs and found out she lives in our neighborhood. She heard you were at Solaria and insisted on coming up to apologize." I watched him coldly, unimpressed by his performance. "Stella, my mom and I were in the wrong back then. I'm apologizing on her behalf. Can you find it in yourself to forgive us?" I turned to Ansel, my voice shaking. "So, you think I should forgive them, both mother and daughter?" The pain of a ruptured eardrum, the numbness from bamboo whips, the torment of seeing my mother's belongings reduced to ashes. I didn't ask why he fell for Elara. It would have made me seem too weak. As I stubbornly waited for his response, Ansel's guilt seemed to dissolve into the air. "Stella, Elara was just a kid back then. She didn't understand right from wrong. She's been remorseful for years and has already apologized to you. Why hold on to the past so tightly? The physical and emotional abuse that threw me into an endless abyss, that's what I call the past." Refusing to forgive Elara wasn't about being petty. He was the one who took me to the hospital back then. He knows better than anyone how deeply I loathe my stepmother and stepsister. Yet, he chose to fall in love with Elara and align himself against me. When Ansel reached out to take my hand, trying to broker peace with Elara, I slapped his hand away. "Ansel, what gives you the right to ask me to forgive them?" I asked sharply. Behind my father's back, they abused me, tricked him into despising me, and after his death, they didn't even bother with his funeral. Ansel looked at the back of my hand, now red from where I had slapped him, and frowned in confusion and discontent. "Stella, I'm trying to help you. You're without parents now, and Elara and her daughter are the only family you have left. Why hold on to the past and continue to suffer? You need to move forward, don't you?" Ansel's words were meant to be comforting, but the impatience I knew so well was already showing through his otherwise calm and composed face. But there was no longer the familiar tenderness and care in his voice. I could feel my heart, already battered and broken, shatter into dust. The pain was so intense it left me almost speechless. Elara's eyes, brimming with feigned sorrow, held a glint of the same smugness and provocation as before. "Stella, it's all right if you can't forgive me. I'll keep repenting and feeling guilty until you accept me as your non-biological family. Get out." Chapter 3. I gripped the hallway tightly to keep myself from shaking too violently. Ansel's impatience was unmistakable. Stella, why are you being so unreasonable? Nobody is perfect. Where has your tolerance gone? He slightly raised his tone. He had witnessed me being driven to the brink of suicide by Elara and her daughter. Once, he had been willing to argue with them on my behalf, even to the point of furious outbursts. What on earth had driven him to oppose me and start defending Elara? I let the pain overwhelm me and told Ansel, word by word. Unless she dies before my eyes, I will never forgive her. Ansel's forehead was throbbing, and he was visibly about to lose his temper. This was the same look he had when he used to rage at Elara and her daughter on my behalf. Stella, how did you become so bitter after just 2 years? If you can't find it in yourself to forgive her, then at least apologize to Elara. I can't stand the thought of people mocking my fiancé as a spiteful, resentful woman. Your mother's decision to end her life was her own weakness. If she had considered your youth, your father wouldn't have had to remarry. Don't blame all your misfortune on Elara and her daughter. Her mother made mistakes, but she didn't deserve to die. If you, like your mother, are going to stubbornly wallow in your misery, then it's no wonder you're plagued by nightmares. He practically spat out the word nightmares through gritted teeth. The revulsion that flashed across his face was clear to me. So, the person who swore to protect me for life was now clearly fed up with being haunted by my nightmares. In the end, all my misfortune and pain had become the sword he used to wound me, leaving me scarred and broken once more. Once, the man who would feel heartache and tear up at the mention of my nightmares no longer held me close and promised. Stella, as long as I'm here, no nightmare or monster can hurt you. He had once used his love and care to pull me out of the abyss, but now he was the one who had shoved me back in. For Elara's sake, he said I deserved it. Trembling uncontrollably, I could no longer cling to the hallway and staggered backward. Ansel quickly steadied me, only to see that my knee was swollen and bruised. He immediately crouched down to inspect the injury. How did you hurt your knee so badly? Forget it. If you won't apologize, I'll do it for you, but you mustn't be so disrespectful in the future. I wrenched my hand away with all my strength, my face ashen as I pointed toward the door. Get out. All of you, get out. Ansel, recognizing my vulnerability, tried to soothe me with a comforting embrace. But Elara, tears streaming down her face, bowed deeply. Stella, I'm leaving now. Please, don't torment yourself over this. As she turned to leave, she spun too quickly, crashing into the doorframe and falling sideways. Ansel instantly released me and rushed to catch her. They both tumbled out into the hallway together. Despite everything, Elara's head still struck the doorframe, instantly turning red with a hint of blood seeping out. Ansel scrambled to his feet, cradling her as he rushed towards the elevator. Elara, does it hurt? I'm taking you to see a doctor right now. The doorway finally fell silent. My heart sank to the depths. After 10 years of knowing each other and 10 years of love, we had reached this point of estrangement. I took out my phone and booked a flight for the day of the wedding. With 7 days left, it was just enough time to clear away everything from the past. Ansel was right. One must look forward. From now on, I would sever all ties with the joys and sorrows of the past. Chapter 4. I threw away all the wedding supplies I had meticulously prepared. This house, which was never truly mine, was now devoid of any trace of me. In the end, only the tickets I had carefully kept as a diary of love remained. With a moment's hesitation, I threw each one into the fire. Each ticket consumed by the flames represented a part of me that loved Ansel. When the burning finally ceased, only a pile of ashes and acrid smoke remained. It was just like the love I had given over these 10 years. The next morning, the aroma of breakfast woke me up. Stella, hurry up and get ready. I've already made breakfast. You go ahead and eat. I'll take breakfast to Elara so you don't have to. Okay. Ansel paused, his hand holding the thermal container. Don't feel guilty. Elara doesn't blame you. After breakfast, let's pick out a new engagement ring for the wedding. The custom one had some issues and won't arrive in time for the wedding day. Okay. He enjoyed playing the role, so I would just go along with it. Perhaps sensing my lack of enthusiasm, Ansel hesitantly brought out the first aid kit and applied medication to my knee. Stella, we've been in love for years. Everything I've done is for your good. I don't want us to have a wedding where you have no family present. You mentioned not finding a maid of honor? I've taken the liberty of asking Elara to be your maid of honor. Okay. Ansel spoke cautiously, but when he saw my quick agreement, disbelief filled his eyes. He then took my hand and pressed a warm, lingering kiss on it. After delivering breakfast to Elara, he didn't come back. As I scrubbed my palms with fervor, his call came in. Stella, finish eating and come down to the garage. I'll be waiting in the car. When I reached the garage, I instinctively opened the front passenger door, only to find Elara already sitting there. Without a word, I took a seat in the back. Ansel glanced at me a few times and seemed quite pleased with my understanding. Stella, Elara designs jewelry. With her here, she'll definitely help you pick out a ring you'll love. I nodded and closed my eyes, pretending to rest. When I unconsciously opened my eyes, I saw Ansel gently pinching Elara's cheek. In the rearview mirror, our eyes met, and he quickly started to explain. Elara had something on her face, so I was just helping her wipe it off. I closed my eyes again and kept them shut until we arrived. As the three of us entered the jewelry store, the sales associate greeted Elara, who was standing close to Ansel, with great enthusiasm. What can I help you with today, sir? Are you looking for something special for your loved one? Elara and Ansel both blushed. Ansel swiftly pulled me closer. Why are you standing so far away? Come over and pick out a ring. The sales associate blushed deeply and quickly brought out the rings for me to choose from. But Elara took the lead, inspecting each one with a critical eye. This one's not big enough. This one's color isn't right. None of the other rings measured up when compared to the one Elara was holding. The sales associate glanced at me, visibly uncertain of how to proceed. Elara, however, acted as if she hadn't noticed and ultimately chose a rather plain ring. Stella, let's settle for this one for now. It'll work for the wedding. I'll design a better one for you later, she said. The sales associate, clearly uncomfortable, awkwardly praised Elara for her exceptional taste. Elara, with a hint of pride, thrust her hand in front of me. It has to be beautiful. It's custom designed by my fiancé. Ansel stood quietly beside her, watching her flaunt the ring without stopping her or showing any sign of discomfort. His smile, however, seemed to bloom with the spring breeze. Then we'll go with the one Elara picked, he said. Skipping even the try-on process, Ansel paid for the ring immediately. He took out the ring and, with a blank expression, slid it onto my finger. There was no kneeling, no roses, no proposal. This time, the ring was small, barely fitting. I knew, without a doubt, that Elara had done this on purpose. As a jewelry designer, Elara could accurately gauge the ring size at a glance. Such a significant mistake was impossible. I didn't bother pointing it out and simply removed the ring. The sales associate kindly suggested that I choose a different style, but I declined. Let's just buy this one and get it over with. No need to make it more complicated. Ansel, hearing this, was clearly displeased with my tone. If you're not happy with it, we don't have to buy it. Elara can help you get a custom one later, he offered. I shook my head and refused. No, this one is fine. Elara, however, looked deeply remorseful, her eyes brimming with tears once again. Stella, I'm going straight to the studio to work on the design. I'll make sure you have a perfect wedding. With that, she quickly left. No matter how much Ansel shouted after her, she didn't stop. Stella, what's the matter with you? It's just a ring. Why are you making such a fuss? I was taken aback. What am I making a fuss about? He pressed his lips tightly together and pulled me out of the store. I have work to attend to. We can take the wedding photos later. Or, you could take your solo photos first and I'll have the designers Photoshop my suit onto them for the wedding. Okay. Ansel's explanations got caught in his throat. He looked at me for a long moment before gently embracing me. Stella, once I'm done with work, I'll take you on a honeymoon trip and we can do a travel-themed bridal photoshoot. To me, his dismissive promise of a honeymoon felt like an insult. He had no time to visit me in Lunaria, But he had plenty of time to accompany Elara to Glaciara to see the penguins and to North Tundra to watch the northern lights. Seeing his location and profile picture hurrying towards Elara's studio, I went back into the store and returned the ring to the sales associate. As I expected, Ansel didn't come home for 2 days. He was accompanying Elara to the seaside for their wedding photos. And indeed, he had someone Photoshop our faces onto their wedding pictures. Determined to avoid the wedding, he'll probably only come back for my parents' anniversaries. I went to the cemetery with 2 bouquets to visit them. I also added the caretaker on Takata to manage things in the future. I'll cover the management fees for my parents from now on. Just refuse any payments from Mr. Stormvale. The caretaker was taken aback after checking the system. Miss, the management fees for your parents' graves have been overdue for 6 months. We've tried contacting the family, but the phone has been unreachable. Realizing that I had changed my number after going abroad, I couldn't help but feel frustrated with myself. Ansel no longer cares about me. How could he remember my deceased parents? I paid the outstanding fees and also prepaid for 10 years, then left feeling dejected. But just as I was walking out of the cemetery, I heard a voice I'd never forget in this lifetime. Ansel, it's impressive that you remember today is Elara's real dad's Memorial Day. If the old man knew you came to keep him company for a drink, he'd probably be floating up from the grave. I turned around stiffly and saw Ansel, flanked by Elara and her mother, climbing the steps. Auntie, this is what I should be doing. Don't be silly, call me Mom in a few days. Ansel chuckled heartily and, without hesitation, called her Mom. With tears in my eyes, I quietly went to meet my friends. I got straight to the point and told them that the wedding was canceled. They exchanged glances and then cautiously asked me, Stella, you already know? I was puzzled why they also knew. In a fit of indignation, they pulled out photos of Ansel and Elara together at the hospital for their premarital checkup. Stella, we support your decision to escape the wedding. I'd love to see what a wedding without a bride looks like. Elara showing up to steal the wedding will be a huge joke. Their words made me somewhat look forward to it. The day before the wedding, Ansel came home with a brand new pair of running shoes. I asked him calmly, aren't you the one who hates running shoes? He paused for a moment, then patted my head. Tomorrow, I'll need to run fast with the bride on my back. The bride he mentioned isn't me. The smile that suddenly appeared on his face wasn't because of me either. It seems that making me the center of a public wedding theft to prove his love for Elara made him quite happy. The next day, I had walked around the wedding venue. Gigantic posters had magnified every trace of photo editing on the wedding pictures. I had pulled out a pair of scissors, cut out my youthful, radiant face, and then took a cab to the airport. When the flight attendant reminded me to turn off my phone, Ansel's calls had started flooding in. Chapter 5. I turned off my phone and opened the documents I had with me. I had decided to stay single and Ansel had no idea what I had sacrificed for him. Now, fleeing the wedding, I could focus entirely on my research career. With so many preparations needed for the new project, I had no time to think about what the wedding scene might be like at that moment. When I got off the plane, my advisor and senior classmates were there to greet me. Welcome back, Stella. They held up banners and presented me with flowers, making my return to Lunaria feel like a grand celebration. The warm reception drew curious glances, with some mistaking me for a celebrity. Professor, this is quite the ceremony, I said, half amused. My advisor gently wrapped an arm around my shoulder and said with a kind smile, Stella, we'll always be your family and your support. After witnessing Ansel's proposal to Elara, I had been holding back my emotions for so long. But those heartfelt words from my academic advisor broke the dam, and all my bottled-up feelings came rushing out. My senior colleague pulled out tissues she had prepared in advance, comforting me with genuine concern. Sis, if Ansel let you go, he's blind. Our Princess Stella deserves the very best. Exactly. If you're not satisfied, I'll fly back right now and knock him out. My senior brother chimed in. I bit my lip and, unable to hold it in any longer, buried my face in my senior's shoulder and sobbed. After my mother passed away, it was Ansel who had been there for me through my darkest days. When Elara and her mother abused me, making my father think I was a bad child and pushing him away, It was still Ansel who protected and comforted me. When I left the country, I had been clear with Ansel about my feelings. If one day you stop loving me, just break up with me. I'll give you my blessing. Back then, he cried like a fool but didn't dare ask me to stay. Stella, I'll never love anyone else in this lifetime. Go chase your dreams. I'll stay home making money and wait for you to graduate and marry me. His promises still echoed in my ears, yet the man who made them had already changed. I thought we would face life's storms together, but he turned his back and left me behind. After crying my heart out, the weight of all my bottled-up grievances lifted. Even the gut-wrenching pain in my bones began to fade. Senior, my advisor, and classmates took me home, where they personally cooked to celebrate my return. I basked in their warmth, feeling fortunate that life hadn't treated me too unfairly. After the celebration faded, I finally dared to turn on my phone while lying in bed. At this hour, Ansel was probably enjoying his wedding night. As soon as my phone powered on, I saw over 100 missed calls from Ansel, more than he had made during our 2 years of long distance. Messages flooded in from talkative and texts, one after another, overwhelming me. Just as I was about to switch off my phone again, another call from him came through. Stella, you finally answered. Where did you go? I kept calling you and you didn't answer. You didn't reply to any of my messages either. I thought something had happened to you. And why did you move out of the house? I frowned, confused. What had gotten into him? He had allowed Elara to steal the wedding and I had moved out and fled. Wasn't it obvious that we were done? Now, he was pretending to be concerned, as if suddenly worried something had happened to me. Was it because, without me as a comparison to prove their so-called true love, the wedding drama wasn't as enjoyable? When I had been in Lunaria, rushing to the ER for surgery alone in the middle of the night, he had been just 100 kilometers away. He hadn't seemed worried about me then. Ansel, congratulations on your wedding, but I don't want to be the clown in your wedding-stealing drama. Ansel was audibly breathless on the other end of the line, clearly panicking. Stella, what are you talking about? What wedding stealing? Did you misunderstand me? I waited for you at the wedding all day, but you never showed. I couldn't reach any of your friends either. It's like you all agreed to disappear together. He was truly a master at pretending. He even managed to mimic the shaky tone I get when I'm upset. It seemed he was genuinely furious, angry that I had run off and left him and Elara to look like a joke. I scrolled through the wedding video my friend sent me, feeling nothing but disgust toward Ansel. Ansel, so it's fine for you and Elara to plan a wedding heist at my ceremony, but I'm not allowed to flee and skip it. Consider this wedding my parting gift to you for being there during my darkest days. My cold tone seemed to frustrate him, but there was even more anger in his voice. Stella, what are you talking about? Why would I ever let Elara crash our wedding? Besides, I'm your husband. She couldn't steal me even if she tried. I know you have a lot of resentment toward her, and I shouldn't have taken it upon myself to reconnect you too, but I did it all for your sake. Can't you stop being so sensitive? His blatant denial only left me feeling more disillusioned. I saw you propose to her. The issue with the ring wasn't that something went wrong, it was that it already had an owner. You didn't have time to take wedding photos with me and had to rely on Photoshop, yet you managed to take photos with her on a cruise. You never once visited me in Lunaria, but you traveled thousands of miles for her every month. I know you're only marrying me to keep your promise. I walked away and gifted you the wedding. Shouldn't you be happy? Why force me to expose everything and leave nothing but humiliation? Or is it that you think I should just play along with your charade to prove your so-called true love? Chapter 6. Ansel was so flustered that his words were incoherent. Stella, it's not like that. Please, come back. If you come back, I'll explain everything. What did he want to explain? Did he expect me to explain to the guests that I shouldn't have fled the wedding? That I shouldn't have let Elara, who looked more stunning than the bride in her bridesmaid dress, become a laughingstock? When he wanted to start a business from scratch, I filed patents for my research under his name. When he lacked funds, I gave him my father's inheritance to help him out. When he finally became successful, I wanted to get married, but he told me to wait. I continued my rigorous studies and successfully earned a PhD from Lunaria, all to support my beloved country Solaria when the time came. He said he was too busy to visit me in Lunaria, so I traveled across great distances to see him. But what did he do? Just 100 kilometers away, he was with Elara, indulging in affection. He took her to all the places he had promised to show me. He made her steadfast promises. Yet, he had once prayed before Buddha that we would be together for all eternity. Now, at this point, his first reaction was to beg me to come back. How insignificant must I seem to him if he believes I'm just a dog that he can call or dismiss at will? Stella, I know these things have hurt you, but I was just joking with Elara. I would never let her actually steal the wedding. You must be in so much pain right now. Just tell me where you are and I'll come pick you up and bring you home, okay? I couldn't help but laugh derisively. Ansel, stop kidding yourself. He just couldn't accept that I had chosen to leave this relationship first. Stella, I'm not lying to you. Where are you? If you don't tell me, I'll dig through the earth to find you and bring you back for the wedding. In this lifetime, I won't marry anyone but you. I'll personally set up the proposal scene and propose to you. I'll have a custom pigeon's egg made for you, accompany you for destination wedding photos, give you the dream wedding you've always wanted, and take you to see the Northern Lights. When he mentioned marriage, his voice even cracked with emotion. After 10 years of being in love, it was only after I had completely lost hope that he wanted to fulfill his promise of marriage. But I no longer needed it. I couldn't spend my life with a man who didn't love me. I couldn't accept that he had fallen for Elara, the person I loathed most, and had deceived me countless times. He always knew exactly what I wanted, but he never fulfilled any of it. After too many empty promises, no one believes them anymore. Ansel, thank you for the time you spent with me, but we're done. Clinging on now is just pathetic. It was wrong of me to hold on to you, and now that I'm letting go, I wish you happiness. Stella, I'll find you, apologize, and beg for your forgiveness. Please wait for me. His persistence only left me indifferent. Elara suits you well. Cherish her. We don't need to see each other again, or stay in touch. I ended the call and blocked him. After being kept in the dark for 2 years, I was done being the fool who followed in his footsteps. The new day began with my advisor, senior classmates, and me diving into our research. We were so engrossed in the lab that we forgot to eat and sleep, feeling incredibly fulfilled. In the past, I would occasionally slack off due to missing Ansel, leading to my advisor's reprimands. Now, fully immersed in my experiments, my classmates began to worry about me. Stella, don't overwork yourself like this. You're stealing our spotlight, and the professor might think we're not making progress. Seeing the concerned faces of my senior classmates warmed my heart. The people who truly care for me wouldn't want to see me exhaust myself. Unfortunately, over the past 2 years, Ansel knew how hard I worked just to see him, yet he remained indifferent and treated me like a puppet. After another fulfilling day, I walked home with my senior classmates under the streetlights. To my surprise, I ran into Ansel downstairs. When I first saw him, I thought I must have mistaken him for someone else. In just half a month, he had lost so much weight he was barely recognizable. I nudged my senior and tried to slip past him and head upstairs. But he immediately spotted me from behind. Stella. I kept walking, but he rushed up to me. As soon as he saw my face, his gaunt features lit up with a look of regained hope. He held out a bouquet of vibrant red roses, his eyes filled with deep emotion. Stella, I was wrong. Please, come back home with me. I brushed aside the bouquet of roses he was holding and reminded him with a blank expression. If you keep pursuing me like this, Elara will be heartbroken. Besides, we've already broken up. If you keep clinging on, you'll just embarrass yourself. Ansel wasn't angered by my coldness. Instead, he patiently tried to soothe me. Stella, listen to me. I was momentarily misguided and agreed to play along with Elara's ridiculous game. When I first came to Lunaria, it was to find you. But right after I landed, I had an accident and it was Elara who stayed by my side for half a month. I didn't want to make you worry or upset you by knowing I was getting close to her, so I kept it from you. Later, I got drunk and mistook her for you. I was too ashamed to face you, so I went back home. But I never imagined that it was Elara's first time, and she ended up pregnant because of that night. I feel sorry for her and want to make it right, especially since she had an abortion for me. I need to take responsibility. No matter how smoothly he spun his clumsy lies, I wasn't buying it anymore. If he was truly drunk, he wouldn't have been able to do what he did. If he wasn't drunk, then there's no way he could have mistaken someone for me. As long as I didn't present evidence, he would always think he could deceive me. He was just using my love for him to play with my genuine feelings. Stella, didn't you say that no matter what mistakes I made, as long as I admitted them and changed, you would wait for me? I realize now that I was wrong. I promise I'll never have any more involvement with Elara. Can you give me a chance to start over? I had indeed said that. But this was far from admitting a mistake and making amends. He wasn't acknowledging his fault because he genuinely regretted it. He was only doing so because he realized he might lose me forever. The man I once admired and loved like a hero turned out to be so despicable beneath his facade. In the end, it was me who had been blind, failing to see his true nature even after 10 years. Chapter 7. Ansel stubbornly tried to keep me from leaving. My senior classmates, who had been holding back their anger for so long, decided they'd had enough. You scumbag, get out of here. Touch Stella again, and I'll damn well chop off your hand. One punch from my senior had Ansel stumbling backward. Ansel's gaze shifted to my senior and his eyes turned red with fury. Like an enraged lion, he pointed at my senior and asked me, "Is he the reason you ran away from the wedding? How far have things gone between you two? Are you really so determined to get revenge on me?" I took a deep breath and replied calmly, "Ansel, stop assuming everyone is as dirty and vile as you. The most important thing is that we're already broken up." I never agreed to that. You don't need to agree. I'm just telling you the outcome. After taking a punch and being rejected, Ansel's pride was hurt and he immediately lashed out at my senior. "Stella is my wife. Stay away from her, you gigolo." He was like a ferocious beast guarding its territory. I was shocked to see Ansel getting physical. My senior and classmates, as a couple, quickly teamed up to subdue him. Not wanting my friends to get into unnecessary trouble because of me, I intervened and pulled them back. "Forget it, let's go." Ansel spat out the blood from his mouth. "Stella, how can you be so heartless? After 20 years of love, you just walk away like it means nothing. What do you take me for?" His desperate shout made me wonder if he was possessed by a ghost. He clearly didn't think he was at fault. He could run away with Elara, but I couldn't escape. Was it my absence that made his escape less thrilling, or was he simply unwilling to accept that I had played with his heart just once? But he forgot that during the 2 years I was abroad, he had betrayed me for those same 2 years, playing with my heart over and over. Time and again. Every plane ticket was undeniable proof of his betrayal. But I didn't want to argue with him about who was right or wrong. From the moment I decided to run away from the wedding, there was no room for reconciliation in this relationship. "Ansel, people need to move forward. Just go." He clung to my pants, refusing to let go. "Stella, no one is perfect. Can't you give me one more chance? I promise I'll never deceive you again." Seeing me pause, he shakily got to his knees and pulled out a jewelry box from his pocket. Inside was a diamond ring, even larger and more dazzling than the one Elara was wearing. "Stella, will you marry me? Please?" His figure now resembled how he looked when proposing to Elara that day. The memory of them locked in a passionate kiss and mocking me resurfaced vividly. But at that moment, I felt little more than a dull ache. The wounds had run too deep and the pain had come too suddenly. I had grown immune to it. As I prepared to reject him, a shadowy figure burst from the darkness. The figure snatched the ring from Ansel's hand and dashed away. Ansel, stunned to see his engagement ring being stolen, grimaced in pain but immediately took off after the thief. My friends and I exchanged glances and headed home together. The next day, I was contacted by the police. I found out that Ansel had chased the thief through more than 10 city blocks in a frantic attempt to recover the stolen ring. After a grueling chase, the desperate thief pulled out a knife and stabbed Ansel, leaving him lying in a pool of blood. Ansel, now pale and bloodless in his hospital bed, looked at me with eyes that still shone with an intense glow. "Stella, you're here." His voice was hoarse, but filled with longing, as if he had finally seen the one he had been waiting for. I quickly shook off the chaotic thoughts racing through my mind. I've already notified Elara. She should be arriving at the hospital tonight to take care of you. Stella, why did you call her? All I want is for you to stay with me. You don't have to do anything. Just being here with me is enough to give me peace of mind. In that moment, Ansel's selfishness and coldness were laid bare. He sought reassurance, but just seeing him filled me with irritation and disgust. My revulsion was evident on my face. Stella, can you still not forgive me? A glimmer of hope sparked in his eyes. No. That spark of hope was instantly extinguished. I'll sever ties with Elara right here, right now. I promise to love and protect you as I did before. His voice trailed off, becoming barely audible. The love and protection he spoke of had already cost me 10 years of my youth. I couldn't gamble another decade on whether he would love me as he once did. Especially now, he was no longer the hero who protected me in the darkness. Ansel, have some dignity. Don't force me to regret ever loving you. Stella, what do you want me to do to earn your forgiveness? Why are you being so heartless? Because I don't love you anymore. Ansel, lying on the hospital bed, seemed to collapse in that moment. He looked at me for a long time, his already pale face growing almost translucent. He could see clearly that my eyes held no trace of affection for him anymore. Stella, we once loved each other so deeply. How did we end up like this? It was all my fault for being so deluded and self-deceptive. I shouldn't have sought excitement or trampled on your genuine feelings, causing you so much pain. Stella, I regretted it. If the person kissing me under the aurora had been you, if the person watching penguins with me in Glaciara had been you, if the person accepting my proposal had been you, maybe you wouldn't have run away from the wedding. I set down the fruit I had bought for him and turned to leave. Life didn't offer many what-ifs. As the door closed behind me, I heard his guttural sobs, like a trapped beast. I didn't stop. I walked on toward the laboratory and the bright future that awaited me. Later, Ansel and Elara's relationship completely fell apart. He exposed the abuse and mistreatment that Elara and her daughter had inflicted on me and my father, creating a scandal throughout the city. He hoped that hearing this would make me turn back and take another look at him. But that was nothing more than his wishful thinking.